Fire Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters. And I don't know, for my weekly listeners, if you could tell that I changed that a little bit in there. And that is because I am effing fired up still after my weekend with the world's strongest firefighter competition at the Arnold Sports Fest. I was just there this past weekend, and it was out of control. Like, I'm still amped off of this, and the competition ended 2 days ago now. I flew home yesterday and could like barely stand, and I didn't. Okay, wait, let's stop. Stop the presses real quick. I did not compete in the world's strongest firefighter. Let's call that right now. 120 firefighters from around the world did compete, and they were unbelievable watching them. I did, like, typical firefighter run thing. I did a little bit of everything, but I was there to do media stuff. One of the reasons that they brought me in, listen to past episodes, I've had loads of folks involved with that organization, competitors, people behind the scenes. And I was there to kind of be a forward-facing media dude, because for some reason people know who I am because of this mohawk and my own stupidity or whatever it is. But do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff to get a lot of B-roll to help them have stuff to promote for the next year. Get there, and that changed to like, there's 8 million different jobs, and Pip, how many of them do we think we could get you to do because you seem like a nice guy and you're going to help us no matter what? And it was awesome. I got to work behind the scenes, working the camera with Lance, who's a past guest, Zero Dark 30 Media. Check that dude out. He is legit if you're looking for anybody to do media work. But it was so cool to be able to work on that end of the camera. I mean, I was, no joke, on the main stage, Arnold Sports Fest, holding a camera. I'm going to go at like 2 feet away from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, the Terminator, the governor was right there. And here I am, like, with the camera, like, trying to be like, oh my God, like, not fanboy out, like, do my job. It was just unbelievable. So I'm totally amped up about that. There's going to be way more coming out. If you've been paying attention to the podcast to the page, I'm posting all kinds of stuff about it. So I'm going to have a little blurb coming out, or you'll have already seen it, but check that out. Just kind of my own personal download for things. But I had to apologize to my guest because I've been trying to get Chris on the podcast now for a while, and he just happened to be available today. And we scheduled this with me not necessarily knowing how amped up I was going to be. So I'm like, bro, today could be a wild podcast. You may have to interview me a little bit as this goes on, and it's a good thing that he is my guest today, because Chris Naff, firefighter PIO, how are you today, man?
I am good. I just want to put it out there that I also did not compete in the world's strongest firefighter competition. We'll start with that.
Looking at you though, you would have held strong in the mustache division, because there were some cool mustaches out there. Yeah. You would. I would, like, let's say, like, I would get you in the top 10 of mustaches of the guys out there, if not top 5. There were some good ones though, man. Casey Shu, he basically is the Lorax, bro. That guy had a Lorax. Like, he wins in my book.
There's some good guys out there with some good mustaches. This is all I got. So
that's all you got. Funny side note, and you'll probably hear this story a few times, but Casey Shu is on the main stage of the Arnold, getting ready to go out to compete in front of Arnold, and he asks us, any chalk in my mustache? Because I want to make sure that there's some chalk in my mustache before I go out there.
Yeah, that's got to look hard for sure. Intimidating as all.
Just a little bit, little bit, right? Yes, but no, we both did not compete in the world's strongest firefighter. But I will say this, and again, I don't want to steal your episode with world's strongest firefighter stuff. But when you think of strongman competition, right? Like, and especially firefighter strongman competition, I'm thinking like huge truckies, like take door off hinge, like with hands type thing, right? Like,
breaking windows, breaking doors, cutting roofs.
Just this huge dude, like, being able to do it all. And look, there were some very large folks that could easily do that. But we had the range of size out there, right? They have a few different weight classes, but like, someone 5'5". A lot of the athletes were 5'5", 5'6". Like they weren't all 6 foot
Yeah.
tall, mountains out there. And
Yeah.
pound for pound, the strongest person I feel like, and a lot of folks agreed with this, was Butters, female firefighter out of Canada. She lifted more weight at her weight than anyone else there compared, like with
Yeah.
ease.
Yeah. I could totally see that. It's some of the ones that you don't think that are going to be the strongest that come up and crush everything. You're just like, where'd that come
Sleepers,
from?
man. Yeah, like look
Yeah.
at this sleeper come. Like every time she came out, I'm like, let's see. Well, after we all realized how strong she really was, so unassumingly strong, I was like, well, I can't wait to see what happens next because she's just gonna amaze us with that. Like, just
Yeah.
amaze us. But I think it also too talks about, and it speaks to being a firefighter, right? There's not one
Hmm.
body type or person that can be a firefighter, right?
Yeah. You're not a cookie cutter, right? Everybody's got their own strengths, weaknesses, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, and that was a huge thing that we talked about out there. Like, look, man, I'm still the guy that goes on rope, and the strongman people are the people that are holding the rope, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah. I'm the guy who goes in the confined spaces and the attics.
100%,
It's
right?
just
But
me.
you still need the person to set up the confined space job, right? You still need the person if there's no ladder to be able to boost me up into that attic type of a thing. So I
Yeah,
love that
exactly.
aspect of getting together with firefighters, and I didn't. Maybe I was a little, prejudiced beforehand, or had a, not prejudiced, but like had a vision of what this strongman competition was going to be. And it totally was not. And
Mhm.
even too, watching in the pro strongman, same thing, all different size people. It's just a matter of being super effing strong. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think I saw one of your posts that said they were carrying hydrants around or something, like a hydrant relay or something.
They did a
Giant
hydrant
cast iron
medley.
iron hydrant. Yeah.
Right? They did a fire hydrant medley where, like, if you've ever watched Strongman, like, okay, I'm old growing up like ESPN watching like Strongman, but the Atlas stones that they would pick up the
Mm,
big stone and put it up on a shelf. Um, these guys and girls did that, but with weighted fire hydrants. Um,
that's nuts.
and they
That's
went
awesome.
down a line. They went down a line from like lightest to heaviest, and you had to. Not only did you have to get, so the fire hydrant was, so think like you're going to hit a plug, right? So it was standing. You had to get
Yeah.
it from standing up to a ledge and then stand it back up again.
Oh God.
So think
Yikes.
about the
Yeah.
awkwardness of trying and then having to stand it back up again. It's amazing to watch. Go check it out on there. The live stream is still
Yeah.
up. If you look, World's Strongest Firefighter, you can see that final medley and the final open weight men's division. They actually competed in that in front of Arnold Schwarzenegger on the main stage.
Oh geez. What an honor that
No
would be. That'd
pressure.
be freaking awesome. Yeah, no pressure.
No
He's picking
pressure,
up
right?
like
There
three
he
or
is.
four of them at a time, just moving around. Ugh.
Like
Oh
when you, I
man.
was even talking to him afterwards. I'm like, bro, like knowing Arnold was there, that like 3, 2, 1, go type command. I was like, that was like the tones drop, and they're like giving you the address, and then they're like pausing, and then they just kind of say like structure fire. Like that
Yeah.
was it, right? Like that was that you go from 0 to 800. Arnold's right there,
Yeah.
0 to 800.
Yeah. No kidding. Be like Sylvester Stallone right next to him too, and she's like, "Oh God."
Yeah, just add one more thing too. And two, look,
Yeah.
Chris, we're getting into your episode, I promise.
No, you're
Arnold was
good. You're
so
good. We're
amazing.
all good.
Arnold was so amazing, and he was like the reason the world's strongest firefighter even started. But he got up on that stage and he addressed the crowd, and the things he said about the competitors and firefighters in general. Just recently with the fire wildland fires out in California, he said it flat out. He's like, "You are a special breed." I'm going to do the worst Arnold. Everybody does
Uh,
the worst Arnold impressions except Richard Zuniga, former podcast guest, best Arnold impersonator anywhere. Um, but he was like, "This is a special breed of people." He's like, "They are running this way to put a house on fire out, but their house that they live in could be on fire over here." And like he flat
yeah.
out said it, like, we know, this event is supporting
Yeah.
firefighters who lost their homes during those wildland fires. And
Yeah.
he said that, and the crowd went wild, and you could just tell how he feels about all emergency service providers in general.
Right.
Because if you read his book or I've listened to his audiobook a few times. He specifically talks about times being the governor and doing things with firefighters. So it just was
That's
unbelievable,
awesome.
unreal. I'm
That's
still
awesome.
amped up. I didn't even meet him. I didn't even meet the guy. I didn't get a selfie. I didn't get a high five or a pound, but just being
You're
that
supposed to be the
close in
media
that
guy.
aura. Yeah, exactly. Behind the camera, it was.
Yeah.
So listen, man, it things don't work out like they're always supposed to, right? Maybe there was a little bit of a
No.
plan that there was going to be something like that, and I am not mad at all. Like it was so
No.
cool. Um, and shout out to Columbus PD and Arnold's security detail. Legit, bro. Like these
Like,
dudes,
how do you
I got to
protect that
hang out
guy?
with a lot of them. Yeah, how do you? Let me tell you how you protect that guy. You find some of the most unassuming badass mofo's out there,
Yeah.
and trust me, man, they were no joke. Some of these guys, they were so cool to hang out with. Off duty, of
That's
course,
awesome.
but when he rolls through, like hardcore Columbus PD, and then his security detail is on point. And these guys,
All
a lot of these
business.
guys, all business. A lot of these guys have been with him, pre-governor. I even think, just working with him at events like this, and the Arnold is such a big event that security concern is even a higher type level. Um, but bro, some legit dudes. Like I wanted,
That's
they have a
awesome.
cool kind of like patch on their thing about like his security detail, and I was just like, how do I get one of those? And they all just kind
Yeah.
of like looked back at me and laughed, like, screw you, like you're not
Yeah.
getting it. Like, let me tell you how to get one of these. Be badass. But I tried, right? Like maybe you
Is
got a
that a challenge
keychain,
coin or
like a
something?
sticker.
Like,
Bro, if they had a challenge coin, I was not qualified to get it. Like, how about that? Like, that's one of those challenge coins, dude. We see, I could talk about this
yeah.
all day. We actually raffled off for the not for profit. Dom, the MC, raffled off on stage a challenge coin, a very specific Arnold challenge coin, and it went for I think $900 was the highest bid.
Wow.
That this gentleman who happened to be named
Crazy.
Arnold, yeah, and people want and actually, firemen, we
What better
kind of
place?
messed up. What better place, right? But kind of messed up the live auction because there was someone else still trying to bid, and then we missed that part, and then he ended up, I think,
Yeah.
bidding a lot of money on something else.
That's
But
good.
yeah, like how cool is that? Like that Arnold has this special challenge coin that he donated to the not for profit. So,
Yeah. And that
all right,
gives
bro.
money to everybody. So that's good. That's
Yeah,
real
all right.
good.
I'm taking up
Good stuff.
12 minutes of your episode. This is supposed to be about
That's
you, not
fine.
about me.
No, it's fine. Well, that
But
pretty
right,
much wraps up this episode. You guys have a good day.
but I think too, like, and we talked about this a little off air, and when in anything you do, but especially in firefighting, we tell young firefighters, like, get out of your department. Go
Mhm.
do things that involve other firefighters, other emergency services
Mhm.
providers. I'll say it all. Like when
Yeah.
you go to a big fire show like an FDIC, you come back this amped,
Hmm.
because
Absolutely.
you're around. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. When you go outside your department, outside your region, really, I think, you get caught in this little vortex here. And then when you go out to FDIC or you go to FDTN or Orlando Fire Conference or, you name them, you get amped. You come back, you want to do stuff, you want to change things. You're pumped from the training. You're pumped from pretty much everything you do out there, not just from the training event that you went to, but even if you're just walking around the trade show floor looking at apparatus or new clothing coming out or, whatever it is, it really boosts that, charges your batteries back up, so to speak. For you could be down in the dumps or something about what's going on in your apartment or where you are, but yeah, everybody gets there, and that just refreshes everything, and you're just pumped. You're just let's go. You want to break walls and you know be a truckie and just break stuff.
Lift up heavy stuff, right? But like,
Yeah, like put a hydrant on
you
top of this pedestal for no reason.
and you said it, and nobody wants to talk about this ever. And you said it, so now we're going to talk about this too. But right,
Oh, good.
when you're
Yeah.
down in the dumps, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody is down in the dumps about something in their department, whatever it is,
Absolutely.
however it is, right? And you talked
Yep.
about really specifically too, like getting out of your region. But like you're at FDIC and you're looking at some piece of apparatus and you're like, oh my God, that would be so cool to have it done that way because the way we have it is so horrible, right? And then some person standing next to you from wherever they are in the world overhears that and they're like, wait, you guys have that problem too? Because we do it that way. And I agree with you. And you
Mhm.
realize, listen, man, it's same circus, different clowns everywhere you go.
Oh yeah,
And that
I say
maybe
that. I've been
what,
saying that for years.
right?
Saying that
Dude,
for
we put it on
years.
a t-shirt once, man. I had
Yeah.
that t-shirt slogan. It was great. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
But you realize that, like, look, man, this problem wasn't created by some guy at your department because he doesn't like you. This problem is worldwide. And it gives you that little bit more of like, oh, maybe it's not so bad. And maybe I
Mhm.
can make things a little bit better and learn some stuff. Ask that guy how they overcome it because they may have a way to do it too, right?
Yeah, we found too, like, we did a lot of changes in the last 5 years in our department from hose and nozzles to apparatus spec. And, it's nice to hear people sometimes talking about our stuff that we've done. We'll come in there like, oh, you're from, St. Johns County. And you're like, yeah. And they're like, you guys just changed out to the 7/8 smooth bore and did this hose and did this apparatus design. We're like, yeah. So they start asking us, and you don't really think about it at first, but then you're like, man, all right, we are making some good changes here. We are, going the direction we need to go. So, that's kind of like a little jolt for you too. It charges your other batteries. You kind of got that reserve battery. Like, all right, people are talking about us. This is in a good way. They're not like that county down there. They don't know what they're doing. They're making some good changes. So,
It's always one of my favorite things when you say something that your department does and somebody's like, hold on 1 second. Yo, blah blah blah, come here, come
mhm.
over here. Say that again
Yep.
that just same way, like what you just said. I've had that happen on
Hmm.
both ends for me, right? Where I've been like,
Yeah.
hold on, let me get somebody. Yo, come here, listen to this what the
Yeah.
dude just said here, right?
Yeah, because I think you're going if you're the type of person that goes to these conferences and these not just the hands-on but just the lecture series conferences, you're wanting to push the envelope in your department. You're wanting to take it to the next level. Whether you have barriers or you don't have barriers in your department, you're trying to learn from what others have done. You know, Obviously to make it easier. If I can go to a different department, and go, hey, they've already got this SOP or SOG or the way they're doing it. Let's try to adapt it here. It works out for the better for everybody, and that's what I've been to a lot of conferences and we always talk about, the lectures are good, but where you meet everybody is the after functions. You're sitting at the dinner table or you're over a beer or whatever, or even
Sure.
at breakfast in the morning, you're talking to these people and they're like, man, we had that same problem too. And here's how we did it. And you're like, oh, that's a good idea. And well, we had this problem. And this is how we did it. So you're really talking to these people and you're really, these brothers and sisters and firefighters from all over the world, especially with FDIC. I mean, we sat across the table from somebody that didn't even speak English when we're at FDIC, and trying to, kind of communicate with them and, listening to what they go through and what they deal with is just a completely different subject, and that's really where kind of the rubber meets the road, as far as like the training conferences and stuff. And I mean, obviously the lecturers and going through the classes are all very, very important and good. So, but just talking to people and listening to what their struggles are or their successes are too. You don't necessarily always have to deal with all the struggles.
And I think too, with that being said, right, it's that talking to people and getting yourself out there. But we all have this common thing with the fire service, emergency services together. And I've seen like people, the quietest people ever, but when you get them going on a topic that they are into out at that social event or something, you can learn so much from them. And it's the same as
Yep.
having a podcast, like bringing on
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
Bro, I haven't even said really your name or where you're from, because I'm the worst podcast host ever when I do this stuff, right?
It's all right. I'm
But
undercover.
because
Can't talk about it.
we just started riffing about stuff just like this, right? You weren't at the
Yeah.
Arnold with me, but you
Mhm.
understood that feeling I had from being at this world's strongest
Yeah.
firefighter thing.
Yep.
And
Yep.
to convince people to do that, I don't even feel like we have to convince them anymore. It's just a matter of going. Just go and get yourself out there.
Go and do it. Especially, there's so many conferences out there. There's so many opportunities from Fools events to, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I'm blessed with our department that we actually have a pretty good, really good actually, way to send people. They can get sponsored to go to FDIC, Orlando Fire Conference. If they put in for it, typically they're getting, registration paid for. They're getting hotels. Sometimes we ask them to kind of, you cover half the cost, we'll cover half the cost or something like that. But we're really good. And it's not just for the fire side. I don't want to just keep token on the fire, even though we are a fire podcast. But we do the same thing for the EMS guys that they do the same thing. And even all the hurricane prep people. Everybody gets a piece of the pie. So we're really blessed in my department to have that. Not everybody is, but back in the day, I spent plenty of money. You can ask my wife going to conferences because, it's fun. It's a recharge. It's
Remember,
it's good.
you just said it though, right? Not everybody has that ability to have their department
Hmm.
pay for them to go to conferences. However,
Yep.
your department at one point didn't have that ability too. And
Right.
somebody
Yep.
put in that work before you or before whomever because they saw the importance in that. And
Yep.
that is something in the fire service that I love. Everything we have is off the backs of our own brothers and sisters who came
Hmm.
before us.
Hmm.
Whether you're a
Absolutely.
volley career, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, the folks before you got you to there. And
Yep.
respecting what they did, and the best way to respect what they do is to try to do something more for the future. And you may not
Exactly.
succeed. You may not be able to get that paid for, but you may be able to get half of it paid for, right? A quarter
Hmm.
of it paid for, maybe a meal ticket, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And that's moving progress right there, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's incredible. They've been very supportive here, and like I said, even before that, my wife was very supportive of that too, and would allow me to go to conferences. Because back I've been in the fire service for 23 years now, so up until recently, we didn't have last 10, 15 years the internet, podcasts like this one. Like we didn't have that share. You had to go to a conference to learn something different because if not, you were in your department doing only what your department does. And you could be getting better or you could be getting worse or staying the same. It was hard to get that exchange of information back and forth. Like, unlike
Yeah.
now, you post something on the internet and Facebook forum and you'll have 700 comments by the end of it. Some of them sarcastic. If we're
I
all
was gonna
firemen,
say
but
some some you may want to listen to, some you may not want to listen
yeah,
to. It just depends on how
some
it
people just
goes,
can't get
right?
out of their own bodies or their own heads. But
So talking about that too, real quick, like, and this is turning into like a show podcast, let's say, but right, some of the things that we're hearing and seeing with shows is that like because of the internet, not as many people are going to shows anymore, right?
mhm,
And
yeah,
sure,
I can see
attendance is
that.
probably down a little bit the way it's going, but there is still that importance of being there for this kind of social aspect and this interaction. Like, yeah, you have this interaction on the internet, but it's not the same as actually physically being together with someone and
Yeah,
talking to them face to face, kind of, right?
yeah. I kind of equate it to like church, right? So you can watch church online every Sunday, but you always go to church on Christmas Eve, right? So you're always
Not
at
all of
church on
us.
Christmas Eve. Yeah, well, not all of us. I'm just as guilty too, but but you know what I mean? Like that's like somebody that goes to church all the time. Sometimes they can't make it, so they watch it online, or they don't go to all the Bible studies and stuff like that. But Sunday or the night before Christmas is like the go-to. It's packed. Everybody goes. So, I think there is something to being said about you going to a conference at least once a year. You can get a lot of,
Yeah.
videos and pictures, but until you put your hands on a hose line, you start moving through a building, or touching an apparatus, climbing on it. There's just something about it. I guess it's a different battery that gets charged for that one. Like you're pumped, you get back and you just, you know,
You're ready to
like you
go.
said, run through walls. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of my, how many fire conferences that I mean, I have, let's not even try. I have no idea how many fire conferences I've been to. How many
Mhm.
classes that I've actually been able to sit in and physically learn from the whole time I was there. I can probably count them on one hand if I'm lucky,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of all this other stuff that I got myself into, right? And I regret that a lot. Like, I want to go to these classes, I want to keep learning
Yeah.
these things, but I'm getting like the Cliffs notes from friends that went into them, or being fortunate enough to know the instructor and being like, hey, can you give me the gist of what I need to know from this that you just spent an hour and a half doing?
Yeah.
But it's kind of almost a downer that like I can't sit in these classes all the time. I do get to go to some
Yeah.
here and there, but usually I'm running around like a wild
Yeah, I kind of feel you. When about 5 years ago, I went into the office and went into our fire training division, and it was kind of like the same thing. Like I have a passion for teaching, and then with our new hire classes, we brought all these cadres in. So it's like you brought the cadres in, they're teaching their specific module, where it's engine, truck, squad, different things, and like you were the guy that ran around and did all the stuff to make the class successful. So like you're missing out on that teaching part. You're like, So I want to kind of just sit. I just want to take the class. Can I just sit in the class? I'm like, no, I got to go pick up the 2x4s from over here or the OSB or move the forcible entry door from this direction. You're like, dang it, you know. And then even in the PIO role, like we're all firemen. Like I'm a fireman first before I'm a PIO. So, you go to a fire and I'm like, I want to go inside, but you're like, well, that's not my role. I got all these trucks here. I gotta document this scene, so to speak. I gotta take pictures. You gotta sell it on social media, and what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like it's a whole different role. Yeah, you know exactly what
So
I'm talking about.
I do know some of those things here and there, right? How it all
Mhm.
works these days, right? And it's really important. But so let's go. Let's be a good podcast. So 23 years, St. John's Fire Rescue, Florida, right?
Yeah, so 21. I'm coming up on 21 years paid with them. I started in the fire service just before 9/11, up in Maryland.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Moved down here in 2020, or sorry, 2002. I already had my EMT from up there, came down here, had to challenge the EMT and then take fire school. Volunteered for a couple years while I was going through fire school here. Um, so paid is 21 years, probably about 23 years in the fire service, 24 years altogether. Um,
And did you just have an epic mustache and decide like, well, I may as well be a firefighter, or what
No,
made you want to
no,
be a firefighter?
so my dad's a police officer, he's a retired police officer from Baltimore, and he said I couldn't be a cop. And I said, okay, I won't be a
Okay.
cop. And I was that C low B student, not really that I'm going to go to college and get this master's degree and be a doctor, kind of guy.
Gotcha,
So
buddy.
yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a fireman. My stepfather was a fireman in DC. So, it looked like a good thing to do. So I kind of took off that direction and haven't stopped since and got hired, like I said, in 2004, with our county. We've grown significantly. I'm in, St. Johns County, which is in Northeast Florida, the county just south of Jacksonville. Um, so we've grown significantly in the last, I mean, forever. I mean, 20 years ago, we still had two-man engines and pagers, if you know what that means.
Gotcha.
So,
I gotcha.
it's kind
I
of
know
same.
exactly what
Yeah,
that means.
yeah. So, and I think we had 70 people that work for the department, and now we're almost 500. So,
Wow.
yeah, so we've grown pretty substantially in the last 20 years, and still looking to grow. We're getting ready to put 4 or 5 more stations on, so it's gonna get busier.
And Florida wise too, you guys are doing fire EMS, right?
Yep, yeah, we're fire rescue. We do both. Yep.
Because again, that's one of those things that in a lot of places are like, nope, we don't have to do that. Like we don't like I do first responder EMS, but we don't have a bus, so it's a whole different
Yeah.
world with that kind of a thing.
Yeah, and our department too is super young. It was just got became fire rescue in '98. So like you really look at the aspect of that. Going back before that, it was a paid EMS department, and volunteer firefighter. And then when the wildfires of '98 in Florida kind of came out, county commission obviously decided that we need a professional fire department. And in '98 we became one. So 25, 26, 27 years young. You think of other departments, hundreds of years old, and we're like, yeah, we're still a teenager.
My 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 firehouse is 4 times as old as your department. Let's say,
Hmm.
like, you
See,
can just say that one there, right? Like
yeah,
up here in
yeah,
the Northeast. And
yeah,
you don't think that about departments, right? Like if you asked me, like seeing you guys online, I'd figure you were that big since forever, since
yeah,
Ponce Leon type Florida stuff.
yeah.
But
Well,
it's
so the
crazy to
city,
hear that.
yeah, the city of St. Augustine Fire Department's been around for a long time. So they're separate from us. We're the county that surrounds them. But the city
Okay.
of St. Augustine is the nation's oldest city. They have their own fire department. We run their EMS side. So we'll run the rescues in there, and then we also go mutual aid and automatic aid for fires and crashes and stuff like that. But yeah, they've been around. I don't even know how long. I think they still had horses and buggies kind of thing. So they've been around for a long time.
I've been
I don't
just
want
a
to quote
minute
and
there,
give
and
you
I
the.
can
Yeah, it was old.
we can we can go back. Former podcast guest whose name has totally slipped my mind, but he talks all about city of
Probably
St.
Rob
Augustine. If
Murphy.
you,
Was it Rob
that's
Murphy?
it, Rob Murphy, Ohio
Yeah,
State University, the Ohio
yeah,
State University, Rob Murphy.
yeah. He's got a good mustache too, and I'll
He
give him
does have a good mustache.
props on that one. Yeah,
He
he's a
does.
big dude. I love that guy.
He too could compete in the world's strongest firefighter. I'm gonna have to reach out to him, see if we can't get him out there.
Oh yeah. I'll text him after this is over, and he'll be up there.
Oh, great. Be like, guess what Pip said on the podcast? Like, I'd rather him maybe
Yeah.
not know. I don't want him to crush me
Yeah. Well, he's gonna
for
see it
that.
anyway.
Yeah. So you've done a bunch of different roles. It sounds like in your department between the training
Mhm.
division and then obviously in suppression and all that. But now you're the full-time assigned PIO, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. About actually a year ago, I think this month, RPIO left to go on to work for the Florida Fire Chiefs Association. And they stepped in and asked if I would kind of take over because I was already doing a little bit of stuff through, we had a little training Instagram page. So I was already kind of doing it. So I kind of said, yeah, no problem. I'll jump in and see what it's about. And, they were it's temporary if you don't want it to be. If you want it to be permanent, we can kind of discuss it. We don't want socials to go dark. That's kind of the
Wow.
gist of it. We were in the middle of some chief changes as well. So so I said, heck, why not? And I kind of recruited my buddy to take my spot in training, who's Max Schaefer. He very big into engine company work. So it was a good fit. It was just grabbing him off the street, which is, hard to do for some people. You just like, come on,
Yes.
you look at the bigger picture. I swear it's great. Come over here. I don't know if you like that
Yeah,
now, but
right. Yes. Like we have candy. Come over here. Look.
yeah,
Look
it's
at
like
my
the
desk.
van in
There's
the corner.
candy. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
the what was it? Was it Old School where the guy takes the
Yeah.
guy in the van? He's like, "We'll have him back by dinner."
You just
So
show up with your ski mask on and grab them from the firehouse.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So he took my spot temporarily. We're right at the beginning of a new hire class. So pretty much every year, if not twice a year, we run a pretty big new hire class. Which when I went into training about 5 years ago, we completely revamped it. Like it's basically the Orlando Fire Conference or FDIC in 8 weeks now. You get a full engine week where you're moving and flowing and you're deploying hose lines and you get live fire. We're big into live fire training and keeping it as real as possible. And we use Connex boxes, OSB pallets. We're not using gas props or anything to kind of, we want them to be real. And then we have a pretty intense truck week, which is searching, saws, forcible entry, that all ends in a live fire. So they're doing live fire searches. And then we have a squad week, which is like those guys, they run them into the ground, but it's firefighter survival, it's RIT, it's they get pretty much. We have a lot of instructors in our department that teach all over the place, all over the country. So we're blessed in that aspect that they like to chip in for the new hires, and they really get a really 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 good product out of it. So
And now, too, for the folks listening in Florida where you are, these folks are coming to you with firefighter certs already, and now you're running them through your specific department academy, right?
yeah, correct. So when you come to Florida, you have to either, if you come from a different state, you have to challenge the state boards basically. Or if you want to be a fire, you go to a fire academy that teaches you the basics, like this is a hose, this is a coupling, this is how water sprays out of it, this is a hydrant. Um, and then so they're certified from the state, and then they come to us. So
Gotcha.
good and bad. Like we don't have to teach all the little nuances of like this is how the hoses go together and this is what bunker gear looks like, But bad is, there's some training scars there that we have to undo that we don't teach. And, some examples are
But the
like
fact
ladders, Good.
the fact that you're recognizing that, right, that they are going to come to
Hmm.
you with some training scars, that whether they're training scars or just things your department doesn't do, right?
Right.
You have to
Yep.
realize that, and you have to then, I don't want to say the word correct it, you have to
Yeah.
work
No.
on it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, and there's a state test for those guys to take when they come out of the fire academy to pass and get your state cert. And, it is what it is, but some of it's not real and it doesn't, it's not real in real life. So,
Yeah.
you can't stand up and walk through a door and go spray left and right when there's flames blowing over your head. So we try to,
You
we,
can't?
we try to,
I've seen
we
that on
try
the
to,
internet, buddy. I've seen it. I've
yeah,
seen it on
yeah,
the internet.
yeah. We try to, like you said, we try to correct it or, whatever term you want to use for it. We teach them our way. This is how we're doing things. This is why, and we teach them the why. We have a lot of good instructors that really get down there and they work with the guys and girls that come in and we want them to leave knowing why. not just how to do it, but we want to know, they want to hear, this is why we're doing it. We're spraying water a little bit earlier because, you know, you know, the heat and the smoke all has, all this stuff that comes out at you, and you want to knock that back for the survival of the citizens, right? We're there for them. We're not there for, just for the fun of it to go to a structure fire. We're there for the guys that are trapped or girls trapped inside the building, and we have to make it better for them. So it's, we've done a lot, and it's come a long way. We're up to 8 weeks now, and all the way, we just added a SCBA emergencies class in the last two classes, which is going over, what happens if your SCBA fails, hole in your mask. Like there was just
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think was it in Houston that they just had the two firefighter or three firefighters that got burnt pretty bad in a fire. But
Yeah,
they were talking
what they do
about
their
covering up
hands
their
and their
mask.
mask or arms. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
yeah. So like we added that to the program a little bit. Like these are things that you need to take a look at because they could hit the ground running the next day and they'll be on the truck and something could happen. And we have to make sure that they're trained the best to our ability and to their ability. So
And those are the things too, when you're doing that in the academy and the training division is rolling out, you're taking this real world experience. I mean, that was after that incident happened. I have some Houston firefighter friends, and even a good friend who's become friendly with my wife, and she was like, "What are they talking about?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of like a thing we've never really talked about. Like, what would you do? Would you put your hands in front of
yeah,
your face? Would you put your arm like?" And she's
yeah,
like, "Well, what would you do?" And I'm like, well, now I'm going to think about that some more. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, I
yeah,
don't know, but
yeah.
you never know those situations that you could be in. When we have a training division that's looking around the world for different incidents and then evolving, saying, hey, let's add another type of class. I mean, SCBA emergencies, like I learned, like if your SCBA fails, get out of the building. 30 years ago, that was the
Yeah,
SCBA emergency, right?
get out, you're done. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's it's we're giving these I call them kids. Some of them are grown men, but we're giving the kids a lot of stuff, and almost our our issue is like we're almost giving them too much too. Like we pump
Mm-hmm.
so much into 8 weeks that it's like, all right, you forgot to how they didn't forget how to put SCBA on, but they go to EMS and they get all of our EMS stuff that we do. I mean, we do a lot of EMS stuff in this department too. Crazy stuff. We're getting ready to put blood products on and antibiotics and ultrasounds and all that stuff. So it's like they learn that stuff, and then the next week they're like, "All right, let's go squad week. We're gonna go RIT." And they're like, "What is this
Yeah.
thing?" Because it's just
I'm
so
still
much
learning about the
information.
ultrasound. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Please,
so much
please.
information. But
And
but it's good.
then
It's
they go to
good.
the street. They go to the street and then they go to a firehouse and they're looking at people with 30 years on and they're like, "Oh Jesus, now I have to impress you."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. What do I do here? And
Yep.
we try to preface them a little bit, prep them in the first couple weeks, and we do a overnight stay at our emergency operations center. So it's we make them cook dinner, come up with a meal. We do training overnight. We run fake calls. So like we kind of prep them a little because some of these, I can say kids for this, they're 19 years old coming out of
Yeah.
fire school, and they have no idea what firehouse life is like. And it's a lot for them to kind of munch on. And we got a lot of people from different departments that kind of already know it, so they're just playing the role. But we get a lot of good feedback from those guys because we lean on them a lot. Like, what would you change? So we send out surveys every week. They it's open, honest. It's on Survey Monkey, so like we don't know who it is, and they'll give honest feedback,
Yeah.
and we'll take stuff out or add stuff in, or it just depends, and
But that's amazing, right? Because that's buy-in, right? If you're giving them the opportunity to give their opinion back, that's buy-in for them to say like, wow, these people really do value me, right? I'm not just
exactly,
a
yep,
number, a badge number, and a recruit. They actually value my opinion as to how to make this better in the future. And I think that's a
absolutely,
huge part of today's society and something too, like as a PIO and using socials the way you guys use them, you're getting buy-in from people that are on the job, people that may want to get the job, the town, the town fathers,
Mhm.
whatever you want to call them, the politicians, and the folks that we're going out to help because they're seeing it all, right? And that's probably the biggest part of your PIO role now, right?
Yeah, that's kind of I did change a lot when I took over the PI role. I mean, for lack of a better terms, I use it as a marketing tool. Like not only do we have to show that we're out in the community and stuff like that, that's important, but people who want to come work here want to see what we're doing. The first thing, hey, I'm applying to St. Johns County Fire Rescue, or what such and such fire rescue. I'm going to go to their Facebook or Instagram. What are they doing? If they see, oh, we've gone to 32 schools in the last 6 months, like, great. But if they see us going on wrecks, fires, good training, cool equipment coming out, that kind of stuff, that makes a difference in your recruiting. I
Yeah.
think big time. And we've seen, our last class we had 30 spots, and we had 150 applicants from all over the state. So, it's, about a 5-to-1 ratio. I think we ended up interviewing about 96. This was the first time we did our physical agility test in-house. Typically, we were relying on the CPAP or the technical college physical agility. But this one, we did our first one, and it's basically our physical agility test that we have for the department. Um, and those guys crushed it, and then they do that the first week. So when they did it for their interview, they just did it in PT gear because obviously the logistics of getting gear for 96
It's even
people,
work.
and it's like, so
And you're
they're
really
still
not
wearing.
looking to see if they can do it. You're not looking to see if they can do it in gear at that point. You're just looking to see if they can do it.
Yeah, yeah. So they're still wearing an air pack, they're still wearing a helmet, and so they're not on air. But then the first week they actually get the PAT again in gear, and do it for time. And we do it as a group, and all the people from the administration building and headquarters where they're kind of based out of do it too. So we're right there, right next to them doing it. And then the last week of class we do it again, and they get to see how much they've improved over the 8 weeks time wise. So it's
Which is the best
it's
part
fun.
too, is that improvement. Yeah, it's just such a morale boost for everybody, and you guys included, because that's putting in all the
Yeah.
hard work the cadre's done to get them to this level.
Yeah, because they're working
So
out pretty much every morning. Getting it, depending if it's a live fire day, they don't work out, but
they're getting it in. So let me go back a little bit for my non-emergency service listeners out there. I'm gonna throw a smartless line, and I'm gonna explain this like you would explain it to Tracy. But the PIO in the emergency services world is the public information officer. And in the fire service, kind of the way it came around is based off of our incident command system. That when you have a larger incident, you should assign a PIO, a public information officer, that is going to speak to the press and to the public, because the incident commander has got his hands full or her hands full, and it's just a totally different position. What that PIO role at an actual incident has grown into now in 2025 here is a full-time job for fire departments that are using their PIOs not just at those incidents to talk about the incident, but for recruitment, for retention of their members, to highlight what the department's doing in the community when we aren't putting out fires, to highlight what a firefighter's job really is about, because so many people have questions. I mean, biggest firefighter question I've ever gotten out of my career when it comes to firehouse life is like, yes, we pay for our own meals. It's not an included perk of the fire service, right?
if we
Like,
can
and
get
so
that in
many
a
people are like,
contract somewhere, we'd be good.
oh, that'd be so good. I mean, $10 a day is all we're asking. $10 a day per
Yeah,
guy. We can make
yeah,
almost anything, even with inflation. We do less
yeah,
egg dishes right now, but 10
yeah,
bucks a
yeah. I was gonna
day
say that's
per
like one
firefighter.
egg.
Yeah, egg dishes are gone, man. We're using flour to bread things if we're breading something. But that's a big thing. And the PIOs, that's what they're doing, these public information officers, right? Chris, did I leave anything out? I'm sure you got.
No, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's basically your marketing your fire department. I think is what I perceive it as. I mean, there's a lot of extra with that. There's a lot of talking to the media. Things that are going on with the department, incidents. Like there's an incident going on right now in my department, so I'm like, if you see me look up at the screen, I'm kind of just watching it to make sure everything's good to go. But it's building also relationships with the other area fire departments too, because at some point you're going to have a jurisdictional, incident that's going to be both sides, and you're going to have to work together. Um, but it's also all the way down to recruit class graduations, making sure that's going off and the slideshow looks good and the video looks cool, because, that's important for those guys. Award ceremonies, that's important for the guys upstairs or up on stage, getting their promotion and their wife or their daughter or their sons pinning them and, taking a good picture and there's a lot more to the backside of it that I don't think people, really think about. They see, oh yeah, he just goes out there and takes, goes to every fire call he can, or every, medical call, or, whatever, every bad wreck, and it is the joke. I only go to the good calls. I don't have to go to the lift assist anymore, but, kind of hard to PR a lift assist, but,
Little
but we
hard,
are
little
out in the
hard.
community. Yeah, we are out in the community, and we are, engaging into the community, and, that's important too, is getting out. I just had one of our lieutenants send us pictures. They went out and were handing out candy and fire safety stuff to all the kids in the neighborhood yesterday. So, that's a feel good story that goes up on the internet, along with hey, this wreck on 95, or this guy's house is burning down, kind of thing. Because that's,
I feel like
that does have some
just this
importance.
year, just this past year, I feel like on social media, and obviously I follow a lot of fire departments and a lot of
Mhm.
firefighters, but just 2024 Halloween, I feel like I saw more videos of firefighters handing out candy at their firehouse. Like, we've done that every year I've ever worked on Halloween. We'll sit out front
Yeah,
and we have a bowl of candy, and any kids coming by get candy. And
yeah.
all of a sudden, it's like, wow, you could go to the firehouse to trick or treat. And people see that on social media, and
Hmm.
they may not have a house in their neighborhood, but hey, I can drive my kid over there, and the firefighters are going to give them candy on Halloween. Such a
Yeah.
great public relation moment for you, right?
Yeah, yeah. We used to, when I was back on the street, we had I was at one of our stations, and it was kind of an awkward location where the station was to the neighborhood. But we would get in the trucks and we'd go drive down to one of the corners and just park on the corner and just hand out candy. We turn the lights on. Everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we thought it was an emergency," and we're like, "No, here's some candy. Have a good day." It's just, it's interacting with the community. It's building that relationship. That's really important too, is getting out in the community and seeing what's going on, learning what's going on. With social media nowadays, it's just it's fast. Incidents are fast.
Yeah.
We were having, things. The news was calling me before we were even on scene on some stuff, and you're like, I can't confirm anything because we're not even there yet. So, um, it's just social media is fast, and we were doing I had a meeting a couple months ago, and they were talking about social media, and they were saying it's not social anymore. And I was kind of like, "What are you talking about? It's not social anymore." And they're like, "Well, are your likes down? Are your hearts and your hugs and your cares and all that stuff down?" And I was like, "Not really." And they're like, "Well, most people are just scrolling through, seeing what it is, and just keep scrolling. They're not interacting
Oh,
at
that
all."
is
So
true.
like Facebook and Instagram have issues with trying to figure out that matrix, that metrics of how oh, you spent 15 seconds on this picture instead of 5, so that must be you mean you liked it. And I thought that was kind of crazy, like what's next? All this stuff we're doing
I
now
don't even
is
want to
like
know.
what's next? I mean, I got a set of those Meta glasses. Have you seen those things? Like the
I
Ray-Ban
did.
Meta
I
glasses?
did. I just saw
You
them
like
2 days ago for the first time.
Yeah, dude, they're crazy. And I use them a lot at fire scenes, and actually I got them from North Las Vegas PIO.
Oh,
Can't
yep.
think of his
He's
name
been
right now.
on
Just God,
blank,
what was his
not
name?
blank. Oh, you made me blank on it too, and I just
I know I
he
blanked
just
on
had
it too. I just
surgery.
had it.
He's a
Yeah,
former
and
podcast guest, though. Great guy.
yeah, but I was like, where? I actually messaged him. I said, where did you get that like point of view? Because he's like driving, and I'm like, well, it's not a GoPro, it's not a helmet cam, and he's getting out, he's like taking the picture, and then like the picture would snap, and I was like, this is crazy. He's like, oh, I got these. Holy crap, that's a whole different thing. So but you can ask those glasses like, hey, what am I looking at? And it goes, you're looking at, an office with a computer screen, with a desk, and it literally tells you everything you're looking at.
Oh,
You're like, oh, this is going to be so bad come 5 more years from now. So
oh.
it's
But that's
crazy
it too,
evolving.
right? It's always evolving, in
Hmm.
my run between 555 and now into this, and watching social media grow and change, and the evolution, and what's going to work and what's not, but and when you were getting to like it's not social media anymore, I was thinking like, no, it's just media at this point.
Hmm.
People
Yeah.
just want to see that picture. They get their news, more news, they're getting more news from social media channels than they are from actual news agencies at this
Well,
point.
and that's funny you bring that up, is because in this Northeast Florida area, we've seen a lot of not necessarily fire departments, but police departments have been recruiting newscasters and people from the media, like the camera guys and the editors, to come work for the department, and they're basically pumping out their own news. they're pumping out their own, like this, I don't say their own narrative,
Yeah,
but
this is this
like, hey, this is
this
a good feel
incident.
story.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and they're all professional news, like, whatever news company you guys have and wherever you're, in your area.
yeah.
It's crazy. Like, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, I think, hired like all of one of the news places once. I mean, but they're pumping out
They
all
just
these
took them
crazy
all.
good
Like,
videos. Yeah, just crazy good videos. Um, so it's interesting to see that, is that where it's going to go? Is where between, fire rescue, county PR, and sheriff's office, and public safety stuff, they're just going to make their own news channels. Like, all right, this is what happened in our county today. Weather at
yeah.
12.
I mean,
You know,
and they got a weatherman too. Like the weather person's there doing it all. That
yeah,
is crazy to
yeah,
think of, and I kind of like the sound of that though, because like I say on the show, it's only 4 years left, and I'm looking for a
yeah,
gig. So maybe I can
yeah,
get if St. John's is looking to grow that in the next couple of years, I can give
yeah.
you my
I,
retirement date and my
yeah,
application.
I'm gonna be retiring in 4 years too. So maybe you can just take my job. Well,
No,
I'll be
no, no,
entering the
no, no,
drop.
no, no. No, no, I want that news guy job. I like the news guy
Hmm.
job. Sounds like a cool job to have. Whether it's
Yeah.
whichever side of the camera you want me on, I can do that. But no, that's pretty
Well,
awesome, and we've spent so much time talking about all these crazy job things that aren't really job things. But one thing I want to get into before our hour's up here, because I know it's
yeah.
really important to you, and I've watched you do it a lot on social media, is rucking, right? So
Mhm.
for the folks that don't know what a ruck is, could you maybe lay it out there for
Yeah,
them?
so a ruck is basically just a weighted backpack. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's pretty new to me too, as of like October of last year. I got a buddy who got me kind of hooked on it. I kind of started more of a fitness journey probably about April or May of last year. Started working out a lot more. Kind of had we guys in the office. Because we get kind of cramped up in here, and everybody's like, that guys in the admin building, they don't do anything. They're just sitting around
Lazy.
carpal tunnel in the fingers, and you know, you do get a little lax sometimes with working out, but the bottom line is we're firemen too, and we have to hold the standard just like anybody else. So we have vehicles that have lights on it. We have bunker gear. We have an SCBA. We could roll up on that structure fire with somebody trapped first,
Yeah,
at
you
any
have to go to
moment.
work.
So
That's it.
yeah, hey, I can't go, hold on, ma'am, I'm going to take a picture of all this. And, no, I got to ditch that side of the job and be like, I'm a fireman. We're going in, we're going to go take care of this. So, like I said, we started doing like towers. We called it Mediocre Monday, which there's a drill tower behind the building, and
Love
we
it.
would just do towers like, all right, can we get to 10 today? Whatever. And part of it was a mental health aspect too. Like we enjoyed talking to the guys that, everybody can complain, we can kind of bounce stuff off each other. Then we kind of Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays was our day, and we had weighted Wednesday, which we started, doing, some weight, where it's a weighted vest or something like that, but doing towers or kind of, and then we had what we called, and I'll keep it PG, F it Friday, which was like when you brought out like the weights and you brought out all the extra stuff. And, that was our routine for a while. And then my buddy asked me to do what they call the Go Ruck, Rucker weekend, which I'm blessed. Go Ruck, which is the company that I get all my stuff from, is right down the street in Jack's Beach from me. They're about 10 minutes from me. So rucking is just like I said, a weighted backpack. So they do this best rucker weekend is what they call it. So there's all kinds of events. It's not CrossFit, but they do like a 5K event, a 10K event, a 15K. They do a 26.2. They do a marathon. They do a 50 miler, like rucking for 50 miles, and there's weight requirements on them. So there's also a couple other different events. Like they do one of their flagship stuff is like their Go Ruck Basic and Toughs, which is like you're in the water, you're carrying logs, you're doing push-ups,
I've done a
sit-ups.
tough. I've done a
Yeah, it's
tough
all that
9/11
stuff.
tough in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, so you kind of know what it's about, and then they have this thing called selection, which is like if you can pass that, you can pass special forces training. That's not me. I'm never going to be able to get there, but yeah,
I'll do a plug. Former podcast guest Allison finished selection. She's like in
yeah,
episodes. If you go back to like the 30s, I think she's in the 30s. Allison.
okay, yeah, I'll go check it out. But those people that pass that they're just a whole nother level of life. But rewind back, so my buddy is like, hey man, we're doing this Go Ruck 15K, And I'm like, 15K? I was like, that's like 9.6 miles. I was like, that seems far. I was like, I don't know, whatever, I'll do it with you. So I ended up, kind of doing more weighted vest stuff. And then I ended up getting a backpack because they make, they're a backpack company. And, you put weight in it. And I was like, all right, well, what's their weight? And they're like 20 pounds. I was like, oh, that doesn't seem like nothing. Like 20 pounds? Got it. No big deal. Woo.
Right?
Yeah. So, yeah, 20 pounds for a half a mile is great, but 20 pounds for 10 miles is a different story. So we ended up doing that in honor of one of the guys that passed away from our department, Jared Hopper. We wore his T-shirts. We had a couple guys, me, Robbie, and a guy named Casey that all work for us that did it. And it's kind of really cool. It's kind of a scavenger hunt kind of event. So you're not like carrying logs. You just carry your backpack. You put whatever you want in it. And you have a time requirement. You have to do it in, 3 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. So you can't just, have a beer at a bar and, go to the next place, but they give you a sheet of, it's like 13 check off waypoints throughout the city that you have to go take a picture in front of, like it's a mural or a statue or something like that. So they kind of make it fun, but they also give you like a paragraph of history about it, which I thought was really cool. So we did it. We did it in just under 3 hours, I believe. So we were moving pretty good. And then from there, I got hooked, man. It was like, I know it sounds kind of stupid. You're just putting a weighted backpack on. But as you know, you get these, patches. They're like a 2 inch by 3 inch patch. And you're like, man, that was worth it. You still got yours? I was like, mine's still back in, I
I
got my
do.
backpack in
Mine's
the back.
mine's behind me somewhere. It's over there.
Yeah. But I
Maybe on a
mean,
hat
like,
still,
so.
but
Well, then it like clicked on me, like I enjoyed it. You know, you just put weight on your back, you put your headphones in, you listen to podcasts or music, and you just go. And it's so job relatable because what do? We wear air packs all day. That's what we do is we wear air packs. So once I'm up, you get up to like 30 pounds, 35 pounds. And, I did a 17 miler last month and I don't even feel my air pack when I put it on. So when we're doing training or we're doing air consumption, you just don't feel it. It builds your posture, it builds your core, and it's just like you're at work. You're wearing an air pack around. So one thing I inadvertently found that I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't plug it in there was there's clubs, there's go ruck clubs everywhere all over the country, and we have some in our community. And I ended up going to a couple of them because hey, Sunday morning at 8 o'clock you're going to do 3 miles. All right, cool. Well, unbeknownst to me, I did one, and I was like, man, that was really cool because I connected to the community that I work in. Like
oh
you're
yeah, yeah,
talking
yeah.
to like 70 people that are walking 3 miles doing the same thing, and they're like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm the PIO for the county fire rescue. Oh man, I had a question about this, or just getting to know your community was like, you obviously you think about it now, but it's like, man, that was really kind of cool to hear, concerns or, oh yeah, this person's did this or that person did that, so,
And then
inadvertently
too, for
I
for that community too, right? For your community, I
mhm,
mean, specific
yeah,
community, they're like, dude, I met a firefighter today. Like, there's some
hmm
firefighters that are out there rucking with us, and they told me about the fire department and what we do or what they do
yep,
more. And now, my
yep.
kid's looking for a job. This is how he gets it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
All those questions came up like, oh, why do you, the good ones always, why do you send a fire engine to a medical call? So you got to talk about those or, like your question, do you have to pay for your own meals? Like all those things come up and it's just boom, you're just sitting there talking and walking. And that's, talking and walking is kind of the thing because when you're running, you're doing other kind of workout, you're not doing anything, right? You're not running a 5K, and talking to your buddy about what happened on shift last night where you know, you're talking while you're walking or rucking, I saw you write that down. I guess that's going to be the name of my podcast, isn't it? Dang it.
I
I knew
had
something would
another
come up.
one, but that
That's it.
one's too freaking perfect. Talking and
Yeah.
walking. No,
Dang it.
but no. I love that you said "dang it." So, but you're so right, bro. Right? Because when people think, and again, I've been in this fitness industry a long time now. People think
Mhm.
fitness needs to be world's strongest firefighter or CrossFit or
Right.
whatever you want to MMA fighting, like whatever you think.
Mhm.
Everyone always goes to the extreme. Listen,
Yeah.
I've rocked. I do rock. The community that I'm involved in, street parking, they go to that ruck event. They have their own ruck thing going on now.
Mhm.
But throw
Yeah.
some weight on your back and go take a walk. And
Yep.
trust me, you may think it's going to be nothing, but it's not, because I had a buddy that made selection, and I was helping him train for it. Um, he's made selection for Go Ruck twice and didn't get very far. We can leave it at that. But he made it, which was what
All right.
mattered. But
Yeah, that's all
but
that
like
matters.
I I helped him train, and we were not talking and walking because he was moving with purpose, sir. And
Yeah.
I thought I had my shit together. It's my podcast. I'll curse.
Yeah.
I was taking weight out to keep up with him because
Yeah.
he was training with purpose. But that's not what these events that you're describing are really about. They're about that
Well, no,
community and getting fit.
and that's the thing about it too, is it's scalable. I can put 20 pounds in and ruck and walk with the community, or push myself and put 40 pounds in. If I go
Yep.
shorter distances, I can put heavier weight in. If I only got an hour to work out or 30 minutes, I can put heavier weight in, get the same thing. And then if I want to go for 17 miles, I just take some weight out. I put some snacks in. The only downfall that I've found from rucking is time commitment, right? Because you're not running, you're not riding a bike.
It's a time.
If you're gonna do 17, 20 miles, it's gonna be 6 hours of your morning or your afternoon or your overnight. But I haven't found any downfall. Like, my posture's better. I have bad hips from my family. My family history's got bad hips, and my hips don't hurt anymore. Just like I said, the big thing is wearing air pack. I mean, I don't feel that
Yeah.
thing anymore. Like, I could wear that. We burned all day Friday, and I didn't feel that thing at all. Like, just walking around all day. So, it's been good. And like I said, I'm blessed to be, 10 minutes from Go Ruck's headquarters. So
It's a
I
win.
see them.
The
Yeah.
weather is a win too, because it's not fun to
Well, yeah,
ruck
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
January here in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's a little rough. You guys got that snow stuff. I grew up in Maryland, so it's like yeah, you can keep all that. Although it did almost snow here this year, but like, they do a lot of community-based stuff. They got a lot of free workouts at their headquarters that they do, and they do bourbon and cigars on Friday nights that we usually go to, and you get to really also meet some incredible people from there, because they got a lot of good people that work for them.
Which is cool too, because it's like another community, and then you're creating that community within the community. It's kind of like the
Yep,
one I was just in with all the strongman stuff. Like
yep,
I am so grateful, and I will say this eternally now for this, that they welcomed me into that community. So just like with open arms is the easiest way to say
yeah,
it. Like,
yeah, and
and I was explaining to them what I was doing there on the media end, because look, and I'm like, listen, if you guys don't want to be featured in anything, that's cool. Just let me know, or just, if
yeah,
you see me coming your way, go the other way, because that means my camera's recorded. And they were
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool about it.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that's important too. Somebody told me a bunch of years ago that you have to find, the fire service is great, and your brotherhood and your sisterhoods are all, awesome bonds that you're going to have, but also have a community of people outside of where you are, like a tribe, so to speak, of other people, and you can ask my wife. I've been through about 3,000 other different hobbies, from ice hockey to outrigger canoes to kayaking to stand-up paddle boards, but this community, this rucking community, I think just it hits different for me for some reason. You know, it's just, I think a lot of them are military. No, I don't think. I know a lot of them are military, and I think
Sure.
they can relate to the fire service, and they can relate to what we're going through and leadership stuff. And you're sitting, Friday night, I was sitting having bourbon with, Richard Rice, who's, world renowned Delta Force guy. He's, you know, talking to us about all kind of funny stories he had in the military. So it's very relatable, but it's also a different circle of friends, that
Yeah.
understand, things. So I think
And
that's important
and
for people too.
don't think too, because I too have a wife, we have spouses out there, right? But those tribes
Hmm.
change, because I too have
Hmm.
had the running tribe and the CrossFit tribe and the
Oh,
555 tribe and the National Fire Radio tribe. Now I've adopted a strongman tribe, right?
yeah.
And through all that journey that you go, though, from all those different tribes, there's always going to be some folks that either come with you or go do something else, but they're still
Hmm.
in your life, and they're in your life for a reason. And, we can do full circle moment here and go back to the beginning, but getting yourself out there and meeting and talking to different people is going to create some
Absolutely.
of the best bonds and relationships that you'll have for your whole life. And I love that
Yeah,
part of this whole thing
absolutely.
that I get to
Yeah.
do.
Yep. Yeah. You're building all kind of things.
Oh yeah, I'm building right with Legos pretty much like the Legos behind me right there. Like
Yeah, yeah.
more like construction or toothpicks, man, like a house of cards. Because too, remember, in all this tribe building we're doing and things. Listen, man, there's going to be setbacks, and your house of cards
Oh
is going
yeah,
to get knocked down, and your tribe is going to have someone that doesn't like you in it, and they turn on you, and or you turn on them, or whatever it is. It's just all life, man. It's all learning
yep,
experience.
yep,
To even talk about making adjustments with a training academy, same thing. You're going to have
yeah,
to make adjustments as you go.
yep, exactly, exactly.
We would we would also too. I totally forgot to mention, but check out Ion I Media X online. That's kind of how Chris came to the podcast. They share a lot of both of our pages. So if you follow the Instagram page, it's Ion I Media X. They're tagged in a lot of the stuff that I do, but just a cool media company out there that's highlighting uh, mostly firefighters in the Florida region, but they go nationwide too. They've highlighted some people from other states. I've been fortunate enough to be highlighted by them. But thanks again, because Chris, this has been a great chat, right?
Oh no,
About
geez,
everything.
you weren't kidding about an hour flying by. I feel like we need another 3 hours in this one.
Well, we'll have to put on some ruck packs and go for a ruck one day, and then
Oh, there you
we'll have
go.
the time, right? I won't
There
tell
we
you
go.
what's in
I
my
like it.
ruck. I won't. I won't tell you what's in my ruck though, because it's going to be lighter than what's in yours. Because I have not
No,
done a ruck in a while.
nah, it's fine. I just came up with a challenge. I've been doing these self-inflicted challenges over the last 3 months since I started really kind of rucking. January was 100 miles,
Okay,
like in the month. So I was like, "Oh, I can get to 100 miles. It's like a 5K a day, basically."
5K a day. Yep.
Um, did that. It was good. Nailed it. Kind of overshot it by far. Because like I'll ruck usually in the mornings, like early in the morning, like 6 o'clock, and then I'll get home and the dogs will want to go for a walk. So I'm walking anyway. Just throw my ruck on.
You can ruck on.
Yeah, and then February was uh, 4 rucks longer than 10 miles. So I did the
Okay,
Donna
I saw
half
that one actually.
marathon. Yeah, Donna half marathon. We did this thing called the Kraken, which is led by one of the men's groups, F3. It's like 17 miles. I did a city ruck and I did a beach ruck. Well, yesterday I started the March challenge, which was 6 rucks, minimum of 4 miles with double your ruck weight.
Oh
So
my
if you ruck
god.
with 30, it's 60. And I immediately regretted it about mile 3 yesterday. I was hurting. I was like, oh, but it's going to make me stronger. So that's all that matters. Just embrace the suck, as
Where
they say a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that. I did the 100 miles in 30 days though. I did that with a weight vest on in July
Yeah.
last year or the year before that, and
Ooh, July. Ooh.
that was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the rough part. That got me up early. I'll tell you that much because when it was going to be like
Yeah.
105, I'm like, let's go. I was out at 4:30 in the morning trying to get
Yeah.
that 5K in.
Exactly.
But it's good, and we're definitely going to have you back on. We can talk about challenges and
Yeah.
things. But I love that you're
Yeah.
doing that, and I know you're posting about it on social media. So where can everybody follow you on the gram?
Um, Basically on the gram, it's just Chris, Chris dot Naff, Naff as in Frank. That's where I live on the gram. You can tell I'm from the 1983, early 80s era where everybody got their names as their Instagram accounts and their Yahoo accounts. There's nothing like Fire Slayer
Well,
37 or something.
they were
It's
all
like,
taken by the time you went there. They were all taken.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's like I'll just use my name. I'm not old, I swear.
I
Uh,
was blessed with a cool nickname a long time ago. So that just worked out when
yeah,
I first started. So
yeah, yeah. We can't talk about my nicknames. No.
one more, one more. We'll leave that for the next episode. So
Yeah, next episode.
are are you ready for the size up 10?
I am. We're about hour
All
8
right.
into it. All right. I'm a little nervous
I
about
told you
these,
we
but
were
we'll
going to
see
be
what we
right
got.
there, man.
I
I
know.
told you how this goes. It's just how it goes. Every podcast, same story.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Number one, beach or mountains?
Ooh. I have to say mountains because I live at the beach.
Okay, that totally makes sense. Number two, I'm changing because you talked about your age, and I think it's more age appropriate for folks like us that are a little bit older these days. But these days, is it a night out, a night in, or an afternoon out that ends before 8 o'clock?
That one. Afternoon in or afternoon out that ends before 8 o'clock. And my wife will agree 100% with that. We are the 2 o'clock.
100.
Let's go get a beer and be in by 5.
Love it. Day drinking. This is a new category to that question that I've had recently.
Yeah,
So
I
I
appreciate you
like
did
it. I
that. I
like
like
it.
that.
No problem. No problem. Because I'm right there too with that afternoon out. So I
Yeah,
got invited to my friend's 50th birthday party a few weeks ago. It started at 3 in the afternoon. I'm like, this is the best party ever.
perfect,
Like I wanted
perfect.
to start
I
at
can be in
11,
bed by
like a
8.
kid's bounce party. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, exactly.
And give me a movie everyone needs to see.
Ooh, Super Troopers. I don't know why I just winged that one out there. It just came to mind. Super Troopers. I know we're making so many
Dude,
references to different funny movies that they just don't make anymore in the new hire class, and everybody's just looking at me like we're like have two heads. But Super Troopers,
literally,
everybody's
bro.
got to see Troopers.
Last night, a guy on this is why my podcast takes forever. Last night, a guy on my shift sent me the pullover scene, and his
Yeah,
quote was like, "This lives permanently in my head." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Oh, mine
yeah,
too. Never fear. Like, can't pull
yeah.
over any further."
Yeah, pull over in front. Or what about the meow? Okay, meow.
Meow.
Okay, meow.
Oh,
Yeah.
meow at work to say meow. Like you just say it. Like if someone says it on a call, and like here's the childish captain in me. Like I'll say it, like
Mhm.
talking to somebody. Like, well, all right, well, we're gonna go right over there, meow. And like the poor person that we're interacting with has no clue, and like my God, I'll just be looking. What
Yeah,
are you talking about, man? I didn't say meow.
that's awesome. Oh man.
All right. Hardest question on the list here: cross country road trip. Who is your famous person co-pilot, living or dead?
Ooh, Harrison Ford.
Love it. No one said him before, but excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
I feel like yeah, I feel like he's got some good stuff. I don't know why. I don't
Do
know
you know who
why he
does?
popped in my brain.
It's a great one, man. Do you know who does a great? I just learned on Smartless podcast. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, does a great Harrison
Hmm.
Ford impersonation. So
Oh, all
if you
right.
ever,
Yeah.
if you ever can find him doing it, it's really good.
Yeah. Or the guy from Landman. Who's the guy that's in Landman? What's his name?
What am I doing now?
That show Landman that just came out from Paramount. Um,
I haven't seen that yet.
yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it now.
Oh, it's got the PIO's
I'm
got
gonna be like,
all the
yeah.
technology.
We'll get, go ahead. We'll get to it. We'll get back. We'll get
We'll
back
get
to
to it.
it.
Number five. Do you
It's
make your
Bob
bed every
Thornton.
day? Because Bob Thornton would be good. He's been selected already, though.
Yeah.
He's been selected.
Um, I do not make my bed every day because my wife is amazing and she takes care of that when she gets up.
Brownie points, bro. Such brownie
But I
points there.
also
We'll move on to the
I
next one.
leave early every morning before she gets up. So I let the dogs in, they get into bed with her, and I take off, and she gets up when she's got to get to work. So
Listen,
but
you just
I
wanted
would
you,
if good.
you just wanted a Wheel of Fortune moment of my amazing
Yeah,
wife. Like you just wanted
yeah,
to say that, like
yes,
you were on Wheel of Fortune, and I'm Pat
yeah,
Sajak. So you got it,
yeah.
bro. You win. You win.
Hmm. I
How
love it.
about how about how about a book everybody needs to read?
Ooh, um, I would say Tribe
Yep.
is a good book. I'm sure that's been mentioned a million times before, but that's a good book. I'm actually going to reread it again here in the near
Nice. Yep.
future. So
Been mentioned a few times. Let's say. So,
yeah.
which one are you taking when you have to get somewhere, not when you have to ruck? Highways or back roads?
Ooh, I'm a backroads kind of guy, but I
Okay.
see the best part about getting there too. I'm also like, if we're getting there, I'm getting there. But if I don't have a time constraint, I'm definitely backroads. Me and my wife like
How about a
exploring stuff. Like we like going out and like if we're in a town that we go out. I'm gonna go out to the town. I'm gonna see what's going on. I'm not gonna be stuck in a cabin. The cabin's nice, and like I said, I like the mountains, but I'm gonna go see the town at the bottom of the hill and walk around and see the food, see the drinks, and whatever else is going on.
Yep, I love it, man. So it leads right into our next question. Then, give me a bucket list place you want to visit.
Ooh, man, that is a hard one. So I want to go to Alaska. I've never been to Alaska. I don't know where in
I'm
Alaska,
in.
but I also feel like it's got to be like nowhere in Alaska. And I know it's got to be summertime. Like I'm the guy I keep telling my wife, and she's gonna hate me for mentioning this, but I'm going to buy that Sprinter van when I retire and
Mhm.
just disappear. And
Nice. I love it.
I don't think she's fully on board quite yet with that, but I think Alaska would be cool. I haven't been to Hawaii yet, but I think Alaska would be like if I could go anywhere right now, someplace and see Alaska.
Yeah, it's
I feel
on
like
my
it'd be
list.
cool.
My kids actually want to go really bad, so we may be
Oh,
heading there
well,
sooner
that's
than
a
later.
plus.
So
That's a plus. My
yeah,
17-year-old daughter does well. She'll go to Alaska, I bet, but she'll go anywhere we take her as long as it's fun.
which is true. As long as you're paying, that's all that matters, right? They'll do
Hmm.
anything as long as you're paying.
Yep, exactly.
All right, two more. Which one is it for you? Is it football or football?
Ooh, man. Well, I don't really watch soccer, so I'm gonna have to go with football on that one.
Easy enough. Easy enough
I'm
for that
I'm a
one.
hockey guy. I watch hockey and play hockey,
Hockey?
so
Okay.
I'm that guy.
Don't
So
worry. People pick their own sport every time anyway for that one, so it's okay.
yeah,
You're not the first
it's
person.
like
Just
I've
go with hockey.
yes, skating.
All right, last one. Best piece of advice you could give to your younger self.
uh, Learn something every day.
I love it.
I think is my
Chris,
that's my go-to.
this has been a great 75 minutes together, 76
Yeah,
minutes as we just flipped over. I'm so happy we finally made this one happen because
yeah,
you've
absolutely.
been
Me too.
you've been suggested for a while and it's just been, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. So it's been great to
Yeah,
talk to you, man. I look forward to maybe
yeah,
doing some more stuff in the future, whether it be on social media or Ruck together or something like that.
yeah. Let's absolutely do it. I'm in.
Nice, man. Appreciate it. So, listen, everybody out there listening, to the folks at the Arnold World's Strongest Firefighter, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting the Size Up by National Fire Radio. It means the world to me to be able to get out there and meet folks and just keep allowing other people to share their stories with me. So, I'll say it again now. I shouldn't have said it that way first. They messed up the outro totally by a double slam in there. But this is Pip for the Size Up by National Fire Radio, where what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.